Here we go.
Okay. Now, okay, so good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Beaver Dam Lake Protection and Rehab District Monthly Board Meeting. Today is July 12th. We're going to hold a meeting today from 7 to 8 o'clock. We have a 8-page agenda, so we're going to stay on point and get through the agenda. The meeting is going to be put out in accordance with the New York State Open Meetings Rule. So we have the community building is open. Anyone wants to join us can come down in person. We're also putting this out on Zoom right now, which is also being recorded. At the conclusion of the meeting, within a couple of days, we will actually post it to the Orange County DPW website. First check is, do we have a quorum? I got myself in the room. I got Chris Dunn. Let's get some cameras going here. We got Chris Dunn. We got Harry Weinberg. Hello. We got Fred Winman. We got Diana Smith. And we got James Muniz. You're on your own camera, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't need to do that with you. Okay, and the only member, and we got Erica Dahl with board support. Thank you, Erica, for joining us as always. And Kevin Boyle is not with us. He's actually on a cruise down to Bermuda right now. For some reason, he felt the water down there was a little bit nicer than ours for some reason. I don't understand that. So that's that. Let's do the pledge. The pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Oh. Okay, background noise.
Cut my video up because it's speaking up bandwidth.
Okay, I understand you cut your video. Okay, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Do I have a second? All in favor? Okay, motion is hereby, the agenda is hereby adopted. Okay, a couple of administrative items. We have a 60-minute time slot to cover 8 pages of agenda, so we are going to stay on point, be as succinct as we can. The last meeting we held was on June 14th. We had a bunch of action items that came out of the June 14th meeting as well as the May 10th meeting. Does anybody have any questions on the status of any actions that were assigned or need any help with any of the actions? Okay, for June 14th, there were 8 actions, 3 are complete, 5 are in progress. May 10th, there were 17 actions, 15 are complete, and 2 are in progress. So thank you for everybody for knocking out your agenda items or your action items. From a safety perspective, Stephen Menditti, he's actually on vacation and took time to actually contact me before the meeting, offering any support that we need in Beaver Dam Lake, that he was available, but he's on vacation. He said he would tie in if we wanted him to, and I said, absolutely not. Enjoy his family. He just came off the election thing, and congratulations, Stephen. Great job. Just a brief discussion. Well, what I try to do is build in a safety topic each month. This week, we're just going to talk about the animals that live in our lake with us. The lake has animals in it like snapping turtles and water snakes. Be respectful of them, be mindful of them. They are part of our ecological system and they are very beneficial to the lake health system. Conversely, they could also be scary. There are some water snakes in the lake that can get up to 3 to 4 feet long. Do not disturb them, don't kill them. They are part of our natural habitat. We want them in our lake. They do visit the community swim area periodically, but they are just passing by. They're going from their nesting area out to their hunting areas. When they are in that mode, do not disturb them, just let them pass through. If you try to play around with them too much, they will defend themselves and they can strike and they can bite you. They are not venomous though, the water snakes, but they will bite and they could actually make you bleed. So with that being said, again, the swimmers, don't disturb them and maintain a safe distance from them. Our lifeguards are very aware of their presence. They understand, and they will ask you to avoid them. So just please comply with that. Any questions on that, anybody? Okay. Board is fully staffed up. All positions are currently filled. And we have Erica helping us out in the backgrounds. I wouldn't even call it backgrounds because she does a lot for us. And Erica, your help is tremendously appreciated, as always. Did you guys sign in by chance? Okay, and there's agendas over there too, if you grab one.
Yeah.
Okay, you got one. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so just going to wrap up the budget from our last meeting. Following our last meeting, the 2024 BDL budget input was finalized, and we submitted that to the county on June 19th in accordance with the bylaws. That action is complete. Thank you, tremendous amount, Erica and David Miskovic. The amount of effort that goes into pulling together the budget is monumental, and I deeply appreciate it. Jason, thank you for stepping up and volunteering to actually step into it. We've had Dave Miskovic, who hasn't been a board member now, 2 or 3 years. He keeps helping out to get us through it. Jason has volunteered now to come up to speed on the budget. He's actually coming up with some great ideas from an outside perspective to drive continuous improvement to make it easier. He's interfacing with DPW quite frequently on that. I appreciate your help, Jason. Purchase requisitions. Again, this is a team of many. We have 7 board members. Diana just stepped onto the board and she immediately started picking up stuff and saying, hey, how can I help? And deeply appreciate everything you do. With that being said, the purchase recs, I'm going to touch on this briefly, but I'm going to turn it over to Diana. In our budget in 2020, we prepared our budget for 2023 in 2022. We all got together, banged our heads, and we said, what do we want to buy? We put a bunch of items in there. So Diana, rightfully so, said, hey, we haven't looked at this list in a while. Does it still make sense? So that's kind of whereabouts we're at. So if you don't mind, we'll go through those items. You want me to cover it for you, or do you want to cover it? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Diane, let her talk first.
Just tell me if you can see yourself.
I can't. I don't have my glasses.
like a Fred, that's not right.
Yes, I can see that.
Good.
Glasses on, glasses off.
He does not.
All right, well, if we go through line by line, because again, I didn't know who put the items on here. So the first item we had was a vacuum. I believe it was for this community building.
Yeah.
If we still need that, and what level do we need? Do we need a commercial, residential?
Yeah, does anybody have any insight as to where the vacuum came from, the need for vacuum?
If my memory serves me correct, I think about a year ago, Erica said that the one that we had was just falling apart.
It's not an industrial vacuum, it's vacuum, it's for vacuum.
Regular
Just for
vacuum.
this.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, just for the actual community building.
okay, okay, good. What's that?
The next item we had on the list was the aquatic weed eradicator rake, and we had different rakes on there. So if we address them all at the same time, it was that collapsible razor rake, a weed cutter style rake, and there was one other one, pond and lake rake. So, and I think, Chris, you were looking at stuff today that was in the shed, and just we're determining.
Yeah, so it seems that we have more than we thought we had. The original reason of having a surplus of rakes was possibly a loaner program. This would mostly be for those that have lakefront property and want to do some, managing and pulling algae and such, leaves out of the debris out of the lake. And it was intended originally to be like a sign out. You put a request into us and we have a rake, and it was a loaner. You sign it out, you bring it back. But the number of rakes I think that we have on there, if we all agree, I think the number is how many?
Four.
Yeah, I think.
Well, sorry, there was 4 of one type and then 3 separate, so there were 7 total.
There's one called weed eradicator, we put it forward in the budget.
Yeah.
I think we would do it with one or two.
Yeah, I think one, because that's a specific one
Okay.
for pulling weeds themselves, and that's kind of a one-time a year thing.
If you go back in time, what really prompted this was initially, we just built the lake, and it was a
Yeah.
field of dreams out there.
Yeah.
So, and everybody had a lot of weeds that we had to clean up. That had dramatically went away. But I think the need for this dramatically reduced. I think 1 or 2 is more than enough.
Do we need, so for the, I know you were looking at it earlier, the eradicator rake, and then it was also the collapsible razor rake. Do we still need?
So the question was at razor rate, do we, that was unknown if we actually have. Razor rate would be that wide shape.
We do not have.
We do not,
We have
okay.
a couple of board members have personal ones. but-
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that's what I want to make sure. Yeah.
Is there a need for one of them, or No, not at this, I mean, I don't know if that's something you'd want to lend out to people, given,
So
That
if you're
it's-
not familiar with the razor, the lake razor,
I was like,
so it's a tremendous tool, but it is literally 2-3 foot long razor shaped like a Y, and you better know what you're doing with it. And they have covers that slip on them, and if you mess up once, even I found out the hard way. So it's kind of something to even lend it out would be quite a liability.
It would be.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's an instrument of,
totally agree. If we lend it out, then we're responsible.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
do this, though, Chris, if you don't mind. Outside of this meeting, you take a look at those rates and get back to Diane. and let her
Yeah.
Specifically what we.
okay,
Absolutely,
Rather than
perfect.
go through to.
yeah.
Okay. We had the snow blower, the battery operated snow blower, which I believe was noted for, events in the winter.
Yeah,
If it's on the lake,
Originally, that was put in because you don't want to put any gas
Correct.
barrels in the lake. We were counting community events, ice skating on the lake, we needed to clear the ice, we didn't put a gas barrel, no blow on the lake, so. If we were at that time, I think it was the idea of buying a battery operated on. We still gonna do that? Nope. I don't think that's a lot. No. Okay. Okay.
No? Okay. Then we had the wagon trucks with the flow through panels, and we had 2 of them.
Yes, absolutely.
So you think we still need 2, or
That's a debatable again. If
they're
we need to.
$205 if that makes a difference?
Yeah,
How much are they?
$205.
Okay, let's get one for now.
One.
because it's mostly
Okay.
for hauling
Yeah.
all the debris. Once we've taken it from the lake, we need to get it up to the street. I think it's quite heavy, so.
Now, is this a hand pull type of thing?
It's right
We have
here.
a photo. It kind of looks like a little,
It's just
Oh,
flat, so it doesn't go through.
yes, yes. Boy, could I use that.
but this one does not have sods.
Yeah.
And I think they either drop off or they're not existing. It's
Correct.
more of a.
That'd be tremendous help, actually.
Yes.
Just trying to look that little lunch basket out there.
And
Did you
lot-
say it? Did you want to say?
for
That-
the,
Just guys,
Can we
just
check?
for the beach, the reason there were 2 on that list is we generally fill about 4 laundry baskets right now. We leave laundry baskets on either side of the, like, just plastic laundry baskets on either side, and they're still even pretty heavy to lift up when we take the fibrous algae out of the lake. And then if you have another volunteer event where you pull fibrous algae from any other space, I don't know, I think 2 might still be useful. But
Okay.
just my thought, if you're trying to get right, so far this year, we haven't had a lot of fibrous algae at the beach.
No,
But
I
as the
agree.
summer gets hotter and goes on, one
I
for
agree.
either side of that swim area might be useful to you.
Sure, and I think if you're cutting out the rakes, I mean, it's in there.
Okay, the cash is there.
Yeah.
Okay, go with 2 of those.
go to,
Almost to the bottom here, we have the fountain, the decorative fountain that also could act as an aerator, I guess.
Yeah, it's a little bit more to that. The intent
Yes.
of that is to help keep algae out of the swim areas. So
Correct.
build up there today, it's a clean area. We had the opportunity to talk to the Department of Health today, is that something we could just put in the swim area? He did, Dylan did get back to us today, he pretty much said, you just can't go plop a area right now. There is a process that we have to communicate with the Department of Health. We have to submit to them what our intent is going to be, what the system is going to look like. And they let us specific guidelines, but they need to know about the electrical hookups because there's a lot of we have electricity.
Sure.
Water.
sure.
So
Okay,
a little bit more than just putting it out. I
We can
think
put-
that's, I think
put
we,
that on hold for right now.
I think we want to move forward with that.
Okay,
Yes, I think you had said you talked to James Berman about it.
Yeah, and it's more of a, I believe, getting that certificate that the appliance itself is up to code. And that it's safe in and of itself, because any appliance needs to be able to shut off.
Yeah.
Load, with an extra load on it.
So I'm gonna have James Berman talk to you then, because we're not
Yeah.
the first like to actually do this, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a good idea, but we want to make sure we do it right. He's not gonna throw it out there.
Mhm.
Okay,
so that was a yes, but
yes.
Okay.
You have to follow up.
okay. And then the last thing was, and I think we're waiting on AJ for it, was we had a bunch of temperature loggers, conductivity loggers, oxygen loggers, and then some other miscellaneous items. And I had reached out to AJ just to say, what's the benefit of us having these? It was not in his original
Yeah.
quote for what he's doing for I guess, the services, and he was gonna get back with Chris, and I think. it just-
Yeah, we kind of played phone tag a little bit the last few days. We actually had a call tentatively scheduled for today. That just didn't happen. He's been quite swamped, I guess, at work.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, if you could follow up with AJ on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're getting a little bit action.
All right.
If that concludes that part of the list, correct?
Yeah, that was all the items. Oh, and then the things we wanted to add, if you want to just go through them real quick.
Yeah.
Jason had recommended and sorry if I get this wrong, a hydrometer sensor for the weather station.
Yep.
Yes, it does the humidity. And once we be able to fix that, we'll be able to get some other implementations like with Alexa or the Google Bot.
Okay, and I know you gave an estimate on the price, so I guess if there was a model, if we're all in agreement, I would just need a model number in the description that I can put on to see where I can get it.
It's not good.
Yeah, get it Monday.
So I was able just before this, like shortly before the meeting, I was able to go online and I do have the full list. I can send you the link for it online. It's like I think it's like a 75-page alphabetical listing of all the Orange County suppliers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, everybody but Amazon, right? So-
yes.
Granger is
So-
probably one of the most
Okay,
popular.
great list.
So I'll send it to you and if you can give me that and then,
How hydrometers.
gotcha. And then the other item, a webcam, webcam and speaker, which I do think we need for this meeting. So same thing if you can provide that. And then I wasn't sure, I know there was a note that said update internet here. So is that like router modem
Or
or?
out of modem service, so I think I'm looking into that further.
Okay, that'll actually under board communications, that'll be part of this discussion.
Okay,
With our wiring center, it was terrific, it's way overpaid.
because I do, and I don't know who the service is through.
Frontier and
Here.
have 1 megabyte of upload.
Oh, gotcha.
One meg.
Camera right now.
Yeah,
Oh, we're not even on Spectrum.
yeah, we can only, at our house, you can only have Spectrum. So then the reason I was saying is we had trouble with ours and, oh, you have such an old modem router and they sent another one. So I didn't know if that was like an option. Like,
I looked at that first and
It's,
Good show.
our
Gotcha.
service is 10 down, 1 up.
okay,
Yeah, that's nothing.
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, and then I did write down one thing, I guess, when Chris was working on putting the swim lane in today, he brought up to add some anchor kits, easy tie anchor kits,
Oh, yeah, those are those,
and they were no more than $150 for everything he.
yeah, correct, and I brought those up today also to you all, those little, half and half screw together, they, tie in the rope with a clevis and they're reusable, but a lot of them we have are quite beaten up in the wrong size,
Okay.
so.
Jason and Diana, I guess, can check see what the line item would be the budget for,
Sure.
and
Yep.
We don't have much money, just to ensure it's covered.
Got it. This and that's. This would be lines, anchor lines, yeah, buoy lines.
When he said it, I almost thought under the thing that AJ was doing, because it said buoys, floats, lines,
Oh,
so I didn't know,
we actually did have that, so.
Yeah. so it could probably fall right under there.
Okay, good point. Good
All right.
point.
Yep.
Okay.
That was all I had.
Okay, transition back into Diana, yeah. Up
What?
to you.
Oh,
Communications.
what was that? Oh, for the stuff that was on the website as I'm going down.
Yeah.
I have not, I looked at it briefly. I'm gonna give it a more in depth now that I've taken care of this and I'll have that for next week.
Okay, like I said, put yourself in an outside perspective. Here's the news one to the board, look at it from an outside perspective, this makes sense.
Gotcha.
It's very, very old way the information is laid out on the website. Bring it up to the standard where it needs to be.
Sure.
Okay. Appreciate your help, thank you. And then the Zoom account. Jason.
We need traffic for internet. And I'm looking into that.
Okay. You need any help from us and anything, Jason?
It depends on how the account's set up, how easy it is to cancel and interact with Frontier. They spoke to me when I was troubleshooting what our speed actually was,
Mhm.
and they did speak to me, so.
Okay. Okay, we're ready. You got the lead and you're gonna run with it.
I got approval, so I will go ahead and fix it.
Kill it. Okay. Thanks, Jason. Okay. Back to me. Anybody have any questions up to that point? We're, okay, next is on DPW interface. We have periodic meetings with the Department of Public Works in Orange County, primarily Eric Denega, the commissioner, and Travis Uval, who's the deputy commissioner. Our last meeting was held May 18th. We did provide updates to the DPW Commissioner on June 25th. And we did send out a couple of requests to the county to follow up on some things, which right now they're focusing very heavily on the issues going on down in Highland Falls and Cornwall. So they appreciate the fact that they're focused on the big priorities for the county. But they are aware, basically, it had a lot to do with liability coverage for BDL. If there's any formal training required for board members like they do for county employees, our board members adequately covered when we make decisions for things associated with the beaches especially. And then Eric Denega had committed that he'll discuss that with the county attorney. He said he did have preliminary discussions with them already, but because of what's going on, they didn't come up with any final answers to us. Rules and regulations. We had a resident offer up an attorney's name to help us pull together the bylaw revision if we need it. I thank you to the resident who helped us sent the information to us. We haven't made any other progress with that area right now. Thank you. Dam update. There's no changes relative to what's going on with the dam. Beach update, Erica.
Sure. The Department of Health provided their approval for beach opening. So we got permitted on June 21st, and we completed the hiring process for our lifeguards 2 days later on June 23rd. And we have 4 of them right now. We have Tiffany, Dylan, Logan, who are with us from years past. And then we have a new lifeguard named Arbor. So we are really excited to have all levels of experience here with us this year. The beach officially opened on June 26th and had been open every day since then until this morning when we did have a suspected algal bloom, which I know we're going to talk a little bit about later. The beach will be open daily, 11 to 7, unless otherwise noted. Right now, it remains closed due to the suspected algal bloom, but we hope that is short-lived. And again, we'll touch on all of that information a bit later. Thank you so much to the residents who donated beach toys. I put a little call out on Facebook, unrelated to, board business, but we asked for some beach toys to be donated because our little box down there was getting a little busted up. And we had, a little fire truck donated, lots of buckets and shovels, which is fantastic. The kids have really been enjoying those. So thank you to the folks who dropped those off. Huge thank you to board member Chris Dunn for all of his mat repair work. So our very well-loved floating mats have been through many seasons at this point, and they are well-loved. We did put it in the budget to buy new ones next summer, so we are crutching along one more year on these ones. And although they float beautifully, they came detached from the anchors this year. One of the the pass-throughs pulled out this year, and Chris has been diligently repairing our mats and making sure that they're out there and safe and situated, so that our lifeguards can make sure that the kids are as safe as possible on those beach mats. So thank you. Chris also added signage to just note again that it's a residents and escorted guests only experience down there at the beach. So thank you for those improvements down there. Just a reminder, please don't change your children or yourselves in the general community building space. Use the restrooms. That building is monitored by security cameras, and occasionally we do have to go back through and look and see if there's an incident of safety in that building, and we want to go back through and look, and we don't want to see a bunch of naked kids or naked adults running around down there. So please make sure you're using the bathrooms if you're going to be changing. And don't change your kids' diapers on the tables in that room. Our lifeguards do eat on those tables. So, please use the floor, or you can use outside, but don't use the tables in the community building for diaper changing. And please respect our lifeguards. I'm going to put it out there one more time. We've already had our first incident. Our lifeguards, don't hit on them. That includes that as well. Don't reach out to them on social media. Many of them are minors. And even if they're not, they're working professionals and have vocalized that they are not open to being approached for personal reasons while they're at their jobs. They're not interested in residents contacting them for personal reasons via their private social media accounts either. And they're there to do a job. Please treat them as such. I hope this is the last time I have to address this summer. Please and thank you. And just a couple of reminders, the beach is for residents and escorted guests only. You need a parking permit to be down there in that parking area. So if you're meeting a guest down there, please have them meet them at your house and escort them down there. Boats are not allowed within 50 feet of the swim area. It's a DOH requirement. So Reserve 3, which is less than a quarter mile up the shoreline, you can see it. There's a ton of kayaks. If you want to park your kayak or your paddleboard to swim, that's a great place to kind of dock it. And then you can walk up Shore Drive to the beach if that's what you want to do, but you can't dock those things at the beach. Fishing is also not permitted. And the reason behind that is it's a Department of Health regulation. But beyond that, we do find fishing hooks and line and stuff like that on all of the other reserves that we have fishing at. And we don't want that where people are running around barefoot, which we have already found this season. So please, no fishing. And then also, if you, again, happen to see a water snake in the space, just avoid them. The lifeguards are doing a really good job notifying folks when they see them. So that's the beach update as it is right now. I know, Wally, you're going to add some information about the HAB a little bit later.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, thank you, Erica. And I can't, right now, the public should be incredibly thankful, Erica, for everything you've done, because quite honestly, the beach would not be open if you would not have done what you did this year for us. So I deeply, deeply appreciate it. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into that. And Diana, thank you so much for offering to step up. Erica's been kind of like running it by herself, making it happen. And she's not even a board member right now. She dedicates her time on a volunteer basis to make it happen. Diana volunteered to run parallel to learn the process. So I deeply appreciate it. Just to reiterate one more time, we do not want any incidents on our beach. Safety is paramount. We don't want to have a kid get hurt or anything like that. There could be up to 10, 15 kids on a mat. The lifeguards are very focused on doing the job. We don't want them being distracted for any kind of unnecessary things. Do not distract the lifeguards. Thank you.
Yeah, if I can make a quick mention about that. So for instance, Tiffany, our senior lifeguard at the moment, you know, we had a discussion the other day about buoy placement because one of the lines broke and we had to replace it. I had a conversation with her about whether or not we should maybe change the layout of the mats, make them separate, have a middle anchor. And she's, you know, for her age, had a very mature conversation about she didn't want anything near the mats where a child could jump off and hit their head. Now, the lines are, of course, in the water, and they're always going to be there. And it's something that we have to just live with and warn them that there's going to be an anchor line at the end of each mat. But she, you know, it just shows you the level of dedication and focus that she has. So, you know, we should be, you know, very lucky to have her, you know, and understand that her input is valued, and she's doing her job.
Yeah, they're all very, very smart. They're very diligent in doing their job. I did a what if scenario. What's the worst thing that could happen out there, for example? And she said one of the kids could get tangled up in the rope. So I said, what are you going to do? She goes, we keep a cutting device nearby. Here's what one lifeguard would do. Here's what the other lifeguard would do. But they had the provisions in place that they can immediately do a rescue or something like that. So they're very, very impressed with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let's talk about lake health treatments. Like I was going to start out by saying, wow, we had a great year so far. And the lake health has been awesome for the last 30 days. It's shown strong evidence of great stewardship. Unfortunately, we did have a very strong weather event recently. What that does, and unfortunately forces a lot of runoff into the lake, and it forces a lot of nutrients in the lake. And within a very short period of time with the elevated temperatures and that runoff coming into it, you end up with an algae bloom. And lo and behold, this morning we started seeing evidence of that. So out of an abundance of caution, we took the stance of saying it's a potential hazardous algae bloom. And we did contact the Department of Health. They immediately, the Department of Health works for Orange County. They are tremendously supportive of us out here. He came out here, he was here by 11 o'clock this morning. He looked at it and said, we'll do a sample anyway. So he did the sample, that gets sent out to Albany. We're expecting overnight it to Albany. We're expecting results on that by tomorrow. He said it does take 1 to 3 days, but there's a lot going on, so we should get pretty quick turnaround on that sample. So we're hoping by tomorrow we get the result back, and if it's negative, we'll be able to reopen the beach right away. If it is positive, we have to go 24 hours with a clear beach, basically no other algae in the area. So we started at time 0 on that day. I think it was about 2 o'clock. Everything cleared the area. We notified the Department of Health, everything was clear. They started a 24-hour clock. So the other scenario would be 24 hours after that, they would come out and do another sample, but then they'd have to mail that sample out to Albany and get a clearance on it. So that is where they are. All that being said, also, our lake treatment company upon the lake connection, James Gorman, we talked to him last week, the week before, and we scheduled what we felt was the most appropriate time to do our next treatment, which ironically is tomorrow. We scheduled that 2 weeks ago. He is coming out and he will be applying Coutrine, I believe it is, for the algicide. This will be our second algicide treatment this year.
Yeah.
Just to put it in perspective, last year we did an algicide treatment in May. We did one in July. We did one in August, and we did one in September. We did 4. So they're kind of like silver bullets. You don't want to use them up unnecessarily and just have a knee-jerk reaction, but you do want to stay ahead of it. We probably could have did this 2 days ago and stayed ahead of this, but we're at where we're at right now.
You know, if I could add too, like, we're very subject to the weather. So if you have a normal rain, it's gonna help the lake greatly.
Mhm.
But if you have torrential rain, it's gonna wash everything into the lake. So it can work against us. So there's that threshold of what's helpful and what is going to cause problems. And obviously we can't control that. So I'm saying it for the reason of the idea of a misunderstanding out there that use of a chemical or not use of a chemical or the timing of the chemical is really the factor. The factor is the weather. The factor is the weather. It's uncontrollable. And the same thing that can help us is the same thing that can hurt us. And just folks need to understand that.
Yep. And put it probably this experience, the lake health is a function of controllable and uncontrollable variables. We'll take care of the controllable ones, the uncontrollable ones we just got to adapt to.
Sure.
We'll go through. Thank you. So James Gorman is coming out tomorrow. We did send a notice out to the community about the treatment going to be taking place, and like every other time, stay clear of the boat. While there's going to be an airboat on the lake, they'll probably be here by midday tomorrow, and just stay clear of it while they're doing their application. Huh?
I understand you guys half the lake each time of the perimeter.
No, well, yes and no. Your permit by the DEC is to do half lake treatment. What that means is half the volume of the lake.
Half the volume.
Correct.
Right.
You could do the whole perimeter, but it's not, the perimeter is very shallow.
So the amount he uses is based on the volume.
That's correct. Yeah, he calculates.
But he will cover the full perimeter.
Absolutely.
Okay.
With, and that being said, thank you for bringing that up. Actually, there are some target areas that residents up in the north finger of the lake. It was brought to our attention that out here it looks really, really good, but up there it's not that great. We had James Gorman come out to a site visit last week. He looked at it, he says, yeah, they're right. So he's going to put a heavy focus on it, that north finger, and also down by Reserve 1, where you have more algae growth taking place than the other areas. But conversely, he is going to do the whole lake because of where we're at. And you're correct, it's a half lake treatment, but it's based on volume.
One other thing, I'll be brief. Molly, myself, and a grandchild has been bringing filamentous algae and duckweed onto the shore. And we again emphasize for people that live along the lake if you see something over there, try to bring it up, onto shore, let it dry, put it in a bag and get it out. The more that stays in there is the more that's going to get distributed every time the wind changes.
Yeah.
So take it upon yourself to help with the removal.
And how will that help the lake health?
Basically, anything that decomposes in that lake. Well, first of all, to form it, you need nutrient, which means that nutrient is being brought up into the material. Then if you take it out, you removed a certain amount of nutrient. If it decomposes and goes back in, you're putting it right back in again.
Exactly.
So
So-
anything you can get out is gonna be beneficial.
Right, and you want to break the cycle.
Yep. Yeah, basically it's controlling the controllables and we're removing nutrients. Thank you. Over to Fred to talk about the DEC grant.
Okay, well, I've been in touch with both Mary with the DPW and Vicky with the DEC. And I'm not gonna bug Mary very much anymore because of last Sunday, I'm sure the DPW is quite busy right now. With the highway department. But they are aware of all the treatments that we've had. And Mary has promised me that it's on their agenda. And they're gonna call in somebody who's probably more knowledgeable than herself to work on finalizing this information and getting it to the DEC. And to date, we have roughly $57,000 that we've applied towards the grant with a 52% give back if everything's approved.
Right.
So, and we've got till next July 10 for the life of this grant. So it's in the works.
Okay, thank you. Okay, lake testing, you joining me, Chris?
Yeah, so all our speak of getting a contract is kind of at the moment at that last bit of hold up. It needs to go pass through legal, as we said last time, through the DPW, and as we just mentioned, they're kind of busy. We've certainly checked back multiple times in the last week or two as to where it is and what lawyer hopefully has it. But it needs to be, the contract needs to be finalized. So it is approved, but it's not finalized. And once that happens, then we can begin testing in lake and tributaries. And then I'll start speaking more about the Little Britain tributary, and all of this will start to hopefully make more sense as we start getting more information to see if we can do anything about it. So it's kind of, so to wrap it up, we're still in a holding pattern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to tidy that up, then we have two things. We have Lake Treatment Company, which is Pond and Lake Connection. What we're looking for now is a lake testing company, and Lake Treatment Company is the correction mode. You're trying to fix things that's broke. The Lake Testing Company, this is going upstream and trying to prevent things from getting into the lake, so we don't have to keep doing so many treatments. That's for the value of coming out of that. So thank you, Chris, for that. Okay, and let's go on to, you have any updates for external sewer municipality updates at all?
So no updates of, like we said, regarding Little Britain School, until the testing is been gathered, but we'd just like to say, after calling the Cornwall and New Windsor sewer departments this week, just for a note to residents, because did have one resident come up to me and ask about the red light going off at was that 139 sure.
Yeah.
That's the Cornwall pump station pumping to the New Windsor plant down in Caesars Lane. So please, just to say this, please report all emergencies to the New Windsor Sewer Department. That's 145 Caesars Lane. The phone number 561-2550. Now, office hours are every day, 7:30 to 4:30. But if you want to report a sewer-related emergency, please call the plant first, then the police. If you're not getting anything after hours, then you would call the business line of the police.
Can someone post that in the chat box?
Can you repeat the number, please?
So for so for New Windsor, the phone number is 845-561-2550. And that's 7:30 to 4:30, 7 days a week. And then secondly, you would call 565-7000, and that is New Windsor Police Department. But that's only if you're not getting through to the sewer department. Now, if you see a red light flashing, that means that that also means that the sewer department should know, because there should be a signal telling them. Now, if nobody's reporting, if it just turned on, it's going to usually take a half an hour to 30 minutes, as I was told. But there's a number, as Fred was mentioning, that there's a number on the building. So for Cornwall at 139, there's a building there's a number on the building. But again, let's see, pump station, yeah, so, the number is 845-534-7994. So for Cornwall, that would be the Cornwall station, and then the New Windsor one, that would be the Beach Road station in New Windsor.
Okay. Thank you for that. Anything else on it?
No, so that was just, yeah.
We actually had last year, the year before, some residents call us that when we get heavy rains like we just had, a lot of people's downspouts are run into the storm runoff, which you shouldn't be doing, because what that does, it just overfloods the system. And basically it goes down the sewer lines, backs up in the sewer lines, and then comes up through the manhole covers and just goes right into the lake. And it completely works heavily against us trying to control the nutrient levels going in. I haven't heard of any reports from any neighbors saying that they saw any sewage leakage going in, but that is one of the problems you get right now when you get these heavy runoffs. Okay, thank you for that, Chris. Thank you, Erica, for posting those. Efficient, I was coached to keep this brief, so I'm going to keep it brief. You did, my wife, actually. Yeah, we're just waiting on a contract extension from DPW for Hicklings to do the yellow perch this fall. They committed to get that done in August for us, so we could do the stocking by September or October. That's pretty much where we're at. We did see a significant number of bluegill and largemouth bass nests, especially in the swim area here. It looked like your moon craters. It was amazing. Yeah, amazing how much the fish are coming back, which is a good sign. I thought they got devoured by all the ducks over the winter. So the fish population is coming back, and we'll be stocking yellow perch if everything goes through as we're currently planning. Reserves and community property, the dam and surrounding area, nothing to report on that. The boat launch area, Kevin Boyle and I were taking a look at what can we do to try to improve the stone material down there, so some people aren't getting stuck in when they're trying to launch the boats. We did look at pouring concrete, and the discussion went that it's probably a better idea to look at having it paved versus doing concrete. So it's still with us. We're still looking at it.
One real quick one, Jim, you were in the boat launch only about 3 days ago, 4 days ago? How did it go?
It was pretty good. I don't know where the ruts went, there weren't the major ruts.
In and out, you were decent?
Yeah, we made it.
Did you have four-wheel drive? Yeah, four-wheel
Yeah,
drive.
forward, put it in mud and snow.
Yeah, most of the majority of people I've seen, they have problems. It was a result of them not having four-wheel drive. They had a two-wheel drive pickup truck, and they pulled into the stone and just buried the truck.
Right.
So it's very isolated cases. I personally never had a problem.
Hopefully we get the concrete set up.
Yeah.
And made it.
Yeah,
Oh, you're not gonna do
yeah, we're looking at improving it. We're just not sure of the material we're going to use. Okay.
Yeah, and it's the correct animal.
Yep. Thank you for that. Okay, so boat launch, landscaping and snow plowing. The county just notifies they're preparing the RFP for the upcoming plow season. They send out a draft RFP, which is a request for proposal that includes reserves 2, 4, and 8 for Beaver Dam Lake. We went to the board and let's talk about this briefly. Does everybody agree that we don't want to be doing all the reserves?
No, agreed.
Okay, does everybody agree that probably reserve 4 is the only place we might need help?
Yeah, because that's where all the action is.
Okay.
And rarely, plus we have our own snow blower.
And does everybody agree that we should probably just go with reserve 4 only on demand?
Reserve 2, is that covered by the
Yes.
town of Cornwall?
It is.
Okay. so-
Yep. So reserve 4, which is here at the beach, and it's going to be on demand only. If we can handle it, we'll do it. If we need to bring out the heavy artillery, we'll have the contract in place for on demand and support it.
Okay.
Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yeah,
As long as we have that ability.
Okay. That's the way we'll do it. Thank you. Yeah, reserve 2, like Fred says, maintained by the town of Cornwall for access to the pump station on the lot. And that is pretty much it. We provide the direct feedback to the DPW and they build that into the RFP then. Boat storage, Chris, did you want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah, so briefly, and just to kind of get everything to, just to get it going. So in the next 2 years at max, potentially in the next year, the board's gonna it's gonna look at the boat storage situation. At the moment, mentioned before, there's a small demonstration rack that's been put up at the end of Reserve 2. Actually, anybody's free to use it at the moment. But what's gonna happen relatively shortly is the next rack in the line. We're going to contact the owners, go into our logs and see if we can get those boats unlocked, moved and put onto the new rack so we can make room to erect something of a higher capacity in that place. So if you happen to know that your boat is first in line near the new racks on Reserve 2, please contact us, but you'll be getting contact soon. Just something I want to mention. Local Law 8 is of 1991, and we've mentioned at prior meetings, is the Orange County Legislature's set, and we would call it a governing.
Sorry, governing is for residential
governing
properties.
Right. So how we use the properties and what is allowed. So no, in accordance with the law, it is explained that the board's administrative head or designee has jurisdiction to reevaluate all policies that accompany the issuance of the registration sticker. So you get your boat, you get your sticker. Upon that acceptance of the sticker, you're agreeing to the guidelines that the board sets or the administrator. So just understand that in the future, once we reevaluate everything, we're going to come up with a new policy. Because at the moment, do we really have much of a policy besides you must have a sticker? Not so much, right? And I think we've spoken at other meetings that some of the reserves are cluttered. Landscapers have trouble sometimes doing the reserve properly. Leaves are trapped under all the boats. There have been boats that have been in disrepair and unseaworthy for a very long time. And it's been like many of us have already tried to fix that situation. So we're gonna get that going. So it's sort of the announcement. And something else I just want to mention. So, and I want to read this. All boats used on the waters of Beaver Dam Lake shall have a valid district registration sticker properly affixed to them. We know this, but that also means that even an escorted guest is not allowed to use a boat if it does not have a sticker. And frequently you will see trailers pull up and the boats are not from Beaver Dam Lake. They could be with
stuff on with them.
Right. And so don't misunderstand it, that even if you are a resident and you are saying to your friends or your cousins, hey, bring your boat, that is actually still not allowed, even if you as a resident are on that boat, because that is an unregistered non-stickered boat and we don't know where it's been. We don't know what's attached to it, what living things are being brought into our lake. That's how we get other types of what invasive species, mussels, snails, things like that. So
Good.
but I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Thank you. And just keep in mind now, the board we're doing is a volunteer job, number one. We're not trying to play hardball and be a pain in everybody's butt about this thing, but we are trying to control the health of our lakes. We don't want stuff being brought into the lake unnecessarily. But on the flip side of that also, each and every one of you who are Beaver Dam Lake residents, in your tax bill is money that you pay in for it's your private lake for your utilization of it. What we try to control is people from the outside coming in, using the lake in this beautiful area, and people drive by, they see it, and they just want to come in, they think they could use it. We don't want that. Stickers are the only method right now we have in place where we can have some level of control to see who is and who is not a resident. So if you would please, we just want to enforce the compliance with the stickers. We're not trying to be hard about it, but we do want to enforce that. Parking and boat permits. There's someone start out by thanking Larry, Fred, and Molly. They held an in-person event on June 27th for getting permits for cars and boats. So I deeply appreciate that. You guys, again, it's a commitment of a volunteer time. I deeply appreciate it. And how many, we had 70 permits?
70 permits.
70 permits. I'll put that in perspective, 820 households. And then in one day, you issued, in 1 hour or whatever it was, you issued 70 permits. That's wow to me. It's like crazy. Yeah.
The discouraging, well, not discouraging, but the thing that impressed me is the fact that a lot of those permits that were issued were not to new residents.
Right.
They were the people that have been here a while and just felt that there's no need. So I think the word is getting out.
Okay.
Yeah, the more enforcement that we see on that, and the more that the residents are aware and, calling the authorities when they feel that we're being trespassed on. If you see the reserves are being, there's a big party on there and there's 4 cars with no stickers, or people are bringing boats in here with no stickers, just call the police department. We're gonna let them handle it. We don't want the personal confrontation on you, but we also don't want you to ignore things. So if you see something, please, you're not being a pain by calling. You're just protecting your own private lake.
Yep, and to that point, matter of fact, Jim and Nancy, you actually helped point this out as well, that on Reserve 8, I think it was on July 4th, it was a massive party of non-Beaver Dam Lake people hanging out there, basically. They're home.
And all their floating devices, kayak.
They brought boats in, they brought many cars. Police were called numerous times. And the irony behind the whole thing was, I got a picture sent to me of a pontoon boat being launched on a reserve, which happened to be Nancy and Jim's boat. So they were the only residents that actually lived here. Yeah. So, but they were appreciated to see that somebody was actually keeping an eye out. But nevertheless, we've got to really tighten up on that. Reserve 8 is probably one of our Reserve 8 and Reserve 2 are the hit points that we really got to tighten up on. We got to come up.
You do have some chat box questions. I don't want it to like run away with you. First of all, will there be another permit sign up in person? Do you guys have another one of those on the schedule, or do you prefer they just be mailed right now?
Let me cover my next bullet in the agenda. Should we hold another in-person permit event?
Yes.
Yeah, so Fred and I were just tossing around the date. Fred, you had drilled down the date already that we could do?
I'm estimating July 27th, Thursday night, but I unfortunately have a new phone that doesn't have my calendar in it, so.
So 7/27 is a potential. Again,
Yeah,
we would do
potential.
6:30 to 8.
6:30 to 8?
Yeah,
Okay. And we'll send out a communication then on that.
as soon as we confirm the date on
Yeah.
that, we'll let you know.
We
So
can put it
that
on
we
Facebook
can,
and send an email.
we'll get it all set on the written calendar out there, so they'll know.
Okay.
Okay, and just another couple things that just keep coming up over and over again in the chat box is speeding in different areas. So just a note to folks who aren't able to kind of follow along with the chat box conversation. I see Jason has done a pretty good job. So contact your local police department over speeding questions and concerns. The board can't really address speeding issues. Typically we do have Steve Bedetti, who's been a great supporter of our board, but he's on vacation this week, not able to be on here. He's law enforcement, but he's not here tonight. So if you have some speeding questions, that's a good place to go. Chestnut parking access. So the thing to do would be to have New Windsor residents contact the New Windsor Parks Department or the town of New Windsor and just talk about their concerns about the lack of parking for that park.
Okay.
And then there was one other question about has the geese eggs, and I know that's been done already, and there was also geese being rounded up, which is also
We're going to cover that. Yeah, we'll cover that in detail on the agenda here yet.
We just got approval from the boss that it looks like the 27th is good.
Okay. Yeah. Fred just got a text message from his boss, and July 27th, 6:30 to 8 will be the time. Thank you, Molly. Pardon me?
July 27th in person?
Yes.
Yes. The Jason, you're also modifying the application form so you could do it electronically and print it out then?
Yes, I
Okay.
got the form. So
Okay. And
Make ones for people and then it'll be good to go.
We'll have a general discussion on that. But
then also recognize, and Fred, good point, that any and all personal information that's submitted with the permit application is being shredded after they're part of the processing.
after I contact my sources, they read it, so.
Yep. Okay. Circle back then, we are seeing numerous vehicles still being seen daily in reserves 2, 4, and 8. Police have been called numerous times, which is the right thing to do. We don't encourage any resident or any board member for that matter to go confront somebody. And not in today's day and age. But the police is the right people to contact for them, and they.
Unfortunately, and the police do as much as they can. I mean, let's face it, I call them and a lot of times people are gone by the time they get here, if they come at all.
Beaver Dam Lake at one time used to have a private security individual. He used to come around and that was his job. I actually ran into the guy that's at a farmer's market this past weekend. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. He said his friend used to come work for Beaver Dam Lake. He used to come out here and patrol the properties and do just that. He was that bad guy to call people out about parking there.
Yeah.
So do we want to look into something like that again or not?
Silly question here. We do have a maintenance man who should be on the reserves throughout the week.
Yes.
I do think that some onus should be put on the maintenance person to ensure that if he sees non-registered vehicles, that either he could address it or he could call the police as well, since he is already being employed on reserves.
Yeah, my advice to him is going to be the same as a board member. Don't confront him. He's not a law officer. There's too many crazies today that I don't want a gun being pulled on somebody who's a board member or an employee.
No doubt. But if we have that person who's out here on 15 to 20 hours a week, it would be really advantageous if that is
At the end,
part of his general work
yeah.
detail.
And the unfortunate part for Tom, and he does a great job for us. Unfortunately, he has to go over Reserve 8 and pick up all the stuff that's dumped there over the weekend. He's large percentage of time is spent just cleaning up the reserves from the people that are abusing the reserves. And generally speaking, it's normally not during daytime hours. It's usually nighttime hours and well after 8 o'clock at night that they're doing it. So
is the answer yes, that we want to look at it? Have the idea of a security person again or not?
Let me ask a question. Again, my memory is not the best in the world, but we may want to check with Eric. Because I think in the back of his gray matter, there's someone that said that we're not allowed to do that.
Eric Denega.
Yeah.
Okay.
So check with him on that.
Come on. We have to go to vibrate on that, Fred, one more time.
No, it's only critical.
Was it possible that that security person was before the district of Beaver Dam?
Yeah, it was while it was a
No.
district of Beaver Dam.
I don't think so. It was relatively well since I moved here.
Yeah, I think he said it was like 10 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, he was a retired police officer and he took on the gig. So, weather station, Jason, we're just running out of time and I apologize.
The station's up and running. You can go to weatherlink.com or get the direct link on the county website or within the monthly Beaver Dam Lake Board email. Couple pieces are malfunctioning on it, which I requested we get replaced. And I'll have more on that, I guess, the next time as we go on.
And Jason invested a huge amount of his personal time to get the buoy out into the water, set up the buoy, clear up all the sensors, worked with the manufacturer, did a lot of behind the scenes work to get it going, Jason.
Repair the
So
rodent damage.
what's that?
Repair the
Rodent damage.
Chris got a catfish out of the one sensor.
Right, yeah, it was traps and.
Okay, but there are things that you identified that need to be
Thank you.
brought forward, so thank you for that.
No.
The geese, Larry,
Yeah, just briefly, we did have Tyler from the USDA come. They did 3 different separate times where they came and oiled eggs, made sure that we didn't have a giant hatch. So they did say that we were well below where we had been in the past. They felt we were in a fantastic position. And they also did come back for a 4th round to try to round up some birds, and that was not successful. So at least, without having the numbers in front of me, we have 90 less geese than we would normally had they not come. So it was very successful. And again, I think you guys can see that with less goose activities.
the other thing we got 20 that decided to hang out and they came up to the beach, got their suntan lotion put on and they were laying on the beach all night. So your lifeguards cleaned up after. So we just got to repair that fence to keep the geese from coming through it. I'll have Tom do that as an action. C-SLAP, I know we did our last C-SLAP sampling on July 8th.
Yes, last week, and samples were sent out. And of course, we're not gonna hear anything definitive until probably next spring. But I want to personally thank Jason, who's been really stepped in to do a great job as far as working with Molly and myself. And including educating or keeping the residents informed as to what goes on. He's great at communicating that. I guess after several years of doing it, I've kind of taken it for a little bit for granted. As far as what goes on and what we test for, but Jason has been doing a good job of keeping everybody informed, and I thank him for that. So we'll be continuing 4 more samples about every 2 weeks till the end of the summer.
Okay, excellent.
Question about that, when is your next one?
The next one, yeah, 2 weeks from this past.
Because I have said that because I am eligible to ride along.
Oh, yeah,
Like
you
this
can
time.
join us. Yes,
Yeah, even though I couldn't get the training.
you
I
got
was
the
told
waiver.
Nancy said I. can
You got the
ride.
waiver, so yes, be there.
Alright,
You bring the sandwiches.
okay.
You get paid a little more too, to do that. We got
Vitamin D.
There you go. Okay, so that's C-SLAP. Cornwall Social Club, which is a big topic for the neighborhood here. It again, when I focus on Cornwall Social Club, my original focus was on what are the net effects to the lake or the reserves. And at the time, it was the wastewater treatment system, which was completely removed from the table. So that is the detrimental impact of the lake went away. I did ask the owners of this Cornwall Social. It's not a club, by the way. It's called Cornwall Social. For an update. They are communicated they're eager to begin work on the property. They did recently receive, they were notified by the town of Cornwall that they had no additional contested issues out there, and the final plan is approved, and they will begin progressing forward immediately. They plan to begin work here in the month of July. Short-term work that they're talking about doing will be fill and shaping the berms, the stormwater management, sewer lines for temporary storage tanks, and fencing on the property. Working with the architects to finalize plans for the cafe and the farm stand. The first hope to begin construction in those buildings by September. Reevaluating the former greenhouse, and instead of having one large greenhouse, they're going to plan on putting out 2 or 3 smaller ones. And they had settled on concepts for back warehouse buildings, but that's TBD on when they'll actually begin work on that. And more importantly, they're begin working on the 94 access. Also, so they're not going to be using the short drive, which that was a big issue for a lot of people. So they immediately said they're going to start working on that right away too. I'm actually looking forward to that area being cleaned up right now. It's kind of an eyesore when you drive in there. They're willing to invest a lot of time and money into it. So hopefully everything works out and it goes smooth for them.
It's something I'd like to mention though, in terms of health, but like understand that it's still, even though the pond that is next to the property is not Beaver Dam and we do not have a say in the matter, there will be a watchful eye on that body of water. So.
Oh, absolutely. In addition to that, Chris, I think you did your due diligence. You talked to the DEC, you found out what that was classified as. They actually determined that it was used for personal contact and swimming. And they were looking at reclassifying that.
Right, and yes, so I'm pretty sure that when we start seeing things build, we'll probably start turning the heat up again on the discussions we're seeing, I would think.
Okay. And again, we're trying to control what we can control of stuff coming into the lake from a nutrient or wastewater standpoint. We just don't want that.
I may ask one question. When Larry attended the meeting one time, they did mention about the composting that they were going to look into. And it kind of scared me a little bit that this might be a source of nutrient leaching into this Twin Ponds Lake, I think it's called, Twin Ponds.
They have to be 100 feet from the water. That's New York State, that's DEC. So if they're greater than 100 feet from the shoreline, they can do it.
Okay,
That was my understanding.
but again, look at the rain we just had.
Absolutely.
So I'm not gonna get into a debate on it, but it just concerns me. It concerns me.
I'll watch the line.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, one thing I did see is that the owners are very open. They want to do things right. So if we have questions, I'm pretty confident we can reach out to them and
Agreed.
ask them specifically. So if we have a specific question, let's reach out to them for that. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Vinny?
Real quick on the Cornwall Social Club, there was July 4th holiday that fell right in between when they would have held the next Town of Cornwall Planning Board meeting. That was subsequently moved to this week on the 11th. So on 7/11, TOC Planning Board did have a meeting. Unfortunately, I was stuck at work. I don't know if anybody else was able to make it to that. I don't have any details about what was discussed.
Yeah.
So that was only on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think that was the feedback I got from the owners, that there were no contentions presented at that meeting, so they got the final approval to move forward.
Yeah, so that was only yesterday. So on that, as far as the plans that they said were not contested, I did make attempts to get a hold of those plans. I was told I need to do a FOIL request, and which I don't know how to do, and I didn't pursue that. So I guess nothing was contested, so I didn't see the documents that they had put in.
I can help you with that.
Okay, yeah, I don't know how to do that. So, if we're just gonna move on real quickly to, recap and close up community events. Again, we didn't have the elections here at the board, at the building in the community center, but we did end up doing our permit event that night, which was very successful, as we mentioned. The book club is on the third Wednesday of every week, in the evening here, and, held by Leah. She's doing a fantastic job. We did have 7 people attend the book club. The book club again is running again next Wednesday here. Same time, same station. The jewelry event we held, which was a spin-off from a nice craft fair that we had inside the building where people were showing off their talents. We had a resident who's an artist who did give us the option, and she taught a lovely jewelry class here, and it was a fantastic evening, about 3 hours. We had 15+ people attend, a smash hit of a home run, all positive feedback. Currently, I don't have anything else planned in the books right now, but remember, if you have an idea, bring it forward. We do want to get submission for use of the building a month in advance if possible. All right, if you say, oh gee, I've got something that I really want to do, we can try to expedite the process, but we really would like to have enough time as far as getting the building together and being able to get everybody on board.
Okay, to that end, Larry, thank you for all you do. That's huge what you do for the social stuff for the community and that. Are we planning, the chili cook-off last year was a huge success. Are we planning that again this year?
I was thinking about doing something similar, whether that be chili or trying to do what I was going to say was a meatball challenge to a similar theme. Again, it's going to involve, getting the residents all riled up and really wanting them to have that kind of stuff. So if you have a great idea, bring it forwards. Leah's been coming out with some super ideas. And I know that I forwarded a few people to send in some emails to the board regarding some projects that they wanted to take on. And hopefully at some point we can get those back onto the table, like Reserve 5 issue, if you got that.
Yep. And Erica actually had a really good idea. I think it was yesterday she had mentioned at the town of New Windsor, they do it there, and we have the facility, we have the capability of doing like a movie night out on the beach type thing.
Yeah.
Get a big inflatable screen, get the projector, and just run a movie here for everybody to come hang out.
Sure. That was one of the things we were doing with the event.
I'm sorry?
Budget.
There's a screen right here.
Yeah.
We had planned that with the event committee, but it kind of fizzled out.
Really?
Yeah, well, we couldn't because I couldn't. Unfortunately, we were trying to go with a senior themed movie, but then we didn't particularly want a bunch of 7-year-olds coming in on the movie. So it didn't come together just yet. And then they said, well, we'll do something outdoors. But currently we haven't been able to really get that together.
Okay.
Is there an inflatable movie screen that somebody has already?
You don't know, but we do have this great movie screen up here.
We want to do it outside
Come on
though.
down.
Yeah.
The one, is there, okay, if anybody on the call has an inflatable movie screen, can you email bdlboard@gmail.com?
And I believe that we do have the equipment here to project.
We do. Yeah, we have. We just need a screen, inflatable screen. Should be a really cool idea.
Party rental places have.
Somebody with an HDMI capable laptop.
Party rental, county rental.
Okay, so that covers the community events. We are running out of time. It's about 10 after. I'm 10 minutes over schedule right now. This will transition into the residents forum. Board members is going to go around, see if anybody has any final comments. Chris?
No, I kind of brought mine up about the sewer and the red light, so that was my only.
Okay. It's in real life.
Yes,
Jason,
I posted this in the chat. We only had 18 people online. We have one family here. We have 814 homes. Please let people know to sign up for the board emails. The more people that are involved, the more things we can get done in traction. That's what I gotta say.
thank you.
Unless we have to repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
Although we already touched base on it quickly, I have to dogpile onto it. There is a lot of vandalism and a lot of things going on in the neighborhood. Last night I had the police at my door talking about I ripped off one of my neighbor's solar lights and threw it on a neighbor's driveway. It was a big hubbub. Please, if you see something going wrong, something not right, say something. Call the police, get them involved. Obviously, we know kids are kids, but we've all been there. The point is, please stay aware of your surroundings and what's happening around us. I do have something. So we, in the May meeting, we had a resident question, and it took some time to get the direct answer, and it was about, can the Orange County Health Department be asked to test the tributaries for E. coli and the lake? So we got from the horse's mouth from Steve Gagnon, who is the principal public health engineer for the Environmental Health Division. If you ever want to ask a direct question about public health, it's S. Gagnon, GASGAGNON at orangecounty.gov.com. So the question was, can the Orange County Health Department be asked to test tributaries? And this was the answer. Orange County Department of Health does not have jurisdiction over tributaries or waterways in the county, and therefore we do not conduct any tests of these waterways. Pollution of New York State waterways is regulated by the DEC. How often are the community drinking wells tested for Beaver Dam Lake? And that's probably the more poignant question I believe the resident asked that night. This was 2 months ago. Beaver Dam Lake is a regulated public water supply that is required to conduct testing. And now, by the way, this is for the residents that do not have personal wells. There are a handful of us that have our own wells. Many are on the community well system. So that is required to conduct testing as per subpart 5-1 of the New York State Sanitary Code. Sampling requirements and frequency fluctuates from system to system. However, you can find Beaver Dam Lake's requirements on our website, and I actually have a link. So I think what we may do is put that in the email, if that makes sense, rather than give you a really lengthy link. And then lastly, where they tested from, I got a very long answer, but the short answer was that they are collected from the point of entry. So, meaning to you, the first tap after all treatment, it would be the very first place that it's tested. So that would mean the house that is closest to the source would be the one that's tested. And we'll add one other thing. We would expect to see bacteria presence in surface water bodies, hence the requirement of increased treatment from surface sources or those wells under the direct influence of surface water. So that recent events that would apply, more rain you get, more possibility of bacteria. So, and once again, if you have further questions about your water, you can easily reach out to Steve. He got back to me and said, by all means, tell the residents. So it's sgagnon at orangecounty.gov.com. Phone number, if we'd like that, is 845-291-2331. So I almost forgot to say all that. So thank you.
Okay, we're gonna. Yep, we're gonna circle back to Fred now.
The PFOS, one thing is near and dear to all of our hearts.
So that was avoided, and I took the answer as
No, what I wanted to get at
okay, go ahead.
is the fact is that based on what we learned at Nicefola, they are lowering the limits, acceptable limits for PFOS, PFOA. And I will be more than happy to try to find out Google or whatever the case may be, what the new limits are. Because we have, as we all know, we've had a history in this area. And many of the homes, many of the things were told, oh no, you're below the limit. That was the limit then. So I want to find out what the limit is now. And then what was it, Department of Health, who was doing the testing last time? Of the PFOS. So I will look into that.
Fred's taken an action to contact.
Yes.
Whomever to find out the current.
If anybody has an idea as to who to contact,
And with that, you got to get it tested, obviously, if you find a.
well, they're gonna have to do it, yeah.
Even, and just a side thought, we've all driven down Route 300,
Taking
207.
it apart.
They have clear, it seems to be they're breaking the facility down outside of Lake Washington.
Mhm,
And I'm
that's
very curious as to why. Are they finished? So I would like to, that might be.
That's the new limit?
So that would be,
Yeah.
to pull a thread and to find out. Curious about that.
Yeah.
And that's.
Okay.
If it's helpful, on the Beaver Dam Lake website, on our website, we have a ton of information on this, so I'll link it in the chat.
Thank you, Erica.
It has all the information that you
Yeah.
wanted, Fred.
No, that's all, thank you.
Okay, thank you for taking that action. Diana, anything to add? Last final call. Okay. The Erica, do you have anything else to add?
Larry Weinberg, thank you for the ice pops down at the beach. The kids and the lifeguards have been loving it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's like the highlight of their day.
I know I like them when I come down to the links.
Yeah. Okay, and I have nothing additional to add. Nancy and Jim, do you have anything to add? Okay, there are only two people we have in the building with us right now today. Anybody else in the chat box has anything to add?
There's anything we've already addressed.
Okay,
Yes, hi, can you hear me?
I could hear you. Hi, Eve,
Hi.
how are you?
Hi, how are you? I told Dave I would speak briefly on it because I saw that there were some questions about the Chestnut Avenue Park. I'll introduce myself, Eve Lincoln. I'm a New Windsor Town Board member. I'm new to the town board. I've been on it about a year and a half, and I'm also a brand new Beaver Dam Lake resident. So me and my family started using that park, and I immediately saw that it could probably use some improvements like everybody's mentioning. So I put on the town board agenda the fact that there's no parking and no paved path. And I'm actually the park liaison on the town board. That's like my priority is to improve our parks. So it's on my list now. We're going to look at possibly having an engineer look at paving a path down from Chestnut Avenue to the park. It's got to be ADA compliant, so we can't go straight down. It's too steep, but maybe like sort of a zigzag thing, but we have to have an engineer look at it. I'll have that. I'll keep following up on that request to hopefully get a path paved. And then in terms of parking down below on Hickory, it's very important, obviously, what the residents on Hickory feel about having a parking lot down there. So I'll probably just start knocking on the doors on Hickory and asking them what they think about potentially making the end of that cul-de-sac a parking lot and see what kind of feedback we're getting. I spoke to, me and Steve Vedetti are on the same page that it's obviously important what those residents think first before making any decisions. So we could either make the cul-de-sac a small parking lot or even pave an area and make a parking lot. Obviously we'd have security cameras and lights and whatnot, but I think the first step is I'm going to speak to residents on Hickory, get their feedback, and then take anyone else's feedback of what they would like to see improved at the Chestnut Avenue Park, and we'll go from there. But I just want to say it's on our list. It's one of my priorities now, and I definitely, keep pushing on things. So
Yeah, thank you. Welcome to the neighborhood, by the way.
thank you.
Can you say something, Eve?
Yep.
So, Eve, hi, and this is actually very encouraging because it was a few meetings ago, we had mentioned that we had talked to Supervisor Myers about this, and I had conversations going back to last summer and then again in November. And he stated a lot of what you had said about getting an engineer. The grade is obviously pretty substantial, and it was more about the ADA compliant parking area potentially. So the fact that you're saying this is like a bright spot, because he had brought some of these things up, but it was not something that we knew could get done, soon or what. So it's very encouraging to hear that
Yeah,
town.
absolutely. I'm a persistent young woman, so I'll stay on top of it. That's why I joined, so.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Eve, real quick question. Do you also work for the county also?
Oh, yes, I do. I'm a county attorney.
That's what I thought. Okay, welcome. So we're going to be drawing on you quite a bit.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you.
All right, no problem.
Okay, so is there any other resident comments? Okay, hearing none. Wrap that up. Okay, that completes the agenda. I need a motion to adjourn. Fred gives a motion. I need a second. Larry with the second. All in favor? Okay, thank you, everybody. I appreciate your time, and we completed the meeting at 8:20. I apologize for running 20 minutes over. Thank you.